What's up, everybody? This is Finding Your Way, Season 4, Episode 1. This season, we're going to be introducing the Anchor VWAP strategy and see how Toad uses it. He got that strategy from Connor here at BRT. Connor has used it religiously for a while. He's always posting about it. So, yeah, let's get into it. Toad, please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Toad, of course. Been trading for seriously for probably like 5, 6 months now. Um, a lot of it getting more serious after coming into BRT and resonated a lot with Connor's anchor VWAP strategy for like finding um, good high value locations and stuff. And yeah, really love that strategy and finding, all the confluence and convergence with it. Yeah, I mean, looking forward to kind of explore more of it.
Cool. Have you had any issues or any, I guess, bad losses using the strategy?
I mean, yeah, mostly related to me not cutting losses. I'd say large losses mostly. Psychological and stuff. I mean, it's been. I think when it comes down to it, you look for the area to be a zone of either resistance or support. So, one of the most important things is, of course, if that breaks, to get out of the trade um, and try to take profit as it goes in your favor, but I wouldn't attribute big losses to the strategy particularly.
Cool. It's more psychological, more because I know even me when I was started trading, the hardest part was me is letting go or cutting the trade. So one of my biggest issues was bag holding. I think that's just men in general don't like to be wrong, and when they're wrong, they keep praying that they're not wrong.
Yeah,
Uh, and that's probably that, and I think that goes for everybody. Is okay. Am I wrong? Yes, is the first question, right? Is you get in a trade and then you see it go against you, and then you ask yourself, was I wrong to get in the trade? And you keep reviewing the chart and you're gonna be like, oh, it can bounce off of this point, it can bounce off of this structure, or it can bounce off of this support. When in reality, you're just looking for a reason to be right and to go back in your favor, but sometimes that never happens. And when you're already full steam ahead against you and you're trying to recoup or at least break even the money that you already lost, it just puts you in a worse situation and just makes the situation worse than if you would have just cut the loss, got out, reassessed the situation, and got back in. And hopefully after finding your way, you're going to be able to either cut your trade in a good in a good not bag holding, cut your trade when you're supposed to cut your trade, and let your let your trade run when it's in your favor. And that's another thing that a lot of new traders run into is they cut their runners or their winners short because they've lost so many times that when it's funny, it's like the inverse, right? You always cut your winners short before target, but you let your fucking losers run. And it's like you're supposed to do the inverse, cut your losers short, or in an appropriate location, whatever your max loss is, or if it's a particular area that you get out, and then let your runners hit your target or shy the target. Um, but in between your stop and your target, there's gonna be speed bumps, and hopefully, we're gonna help you identify the speed bumps so you don't get scared from cutting your trade too short and letting your losers run. Um, one of the tools that's helped me identify speed bump areas um, is the volume profiles. The volume profiles have helped me double up my game, or triple, or improve my trading game that much better. And they usually align with, I've come to find they line up with any strategy. Um, but yeah. So, uh, what other indicators do you use with your anchor VWAP strategy? Do you use the elite stacking catalyst strategies? I know Brandon has always emphasized that you should trade objectively, not subjectively. And the way that Brandon has taught us to do that is to stack catalysts. Usually he wants us to stack three catalysts that are in our favor before we even think of getting in. The way that I've come to kind of created a little mini system is I look at price action first. I look at price action first to see if I see a signal within price action. If I don't see anything in price action, then I jump down to RSI. Usually RSI, if I see divergence, I start looking for MACD to see how the MACD, if we're going to get a MACD cross, or I start looking at histograms to see if the sellers or buyers are in control. From time to time, I use TTM, and yeah, and then I jump, and then I cycle back through. I go to price action, see if price action has changed, or if it's creating higher lows. If I want to go long, is there any volume profile shelves that are catching it, or price action is catching that support, or maybe hitting their head as resistance? But yeah, hopefully we help you stack catalysts better so you can have better trades and have bigger winners. The first couple of weeks of finding your way, we're gonna try to keep the winners to like a restrictive, 4 to 6 points, just so you can get used to the strategy. So what we're gonna basically do is week one, we're gonna jump into psychology, right? A lot of new traders come in with the normal mindset of a regular person when the market always does the inverse, and it's a little bit different. You have to think differently when you're trading the market. You have to think in terms of the entire market, not just, like, for example, if there's higher unemployment, right? And we're in a high inflation time like we are now, then higher unemployment is actually good for the market. As a normal person, as a W-2 employee, I hate thinking that higher unemployment, you as a normal person, you think that higher unemployment is bad because no people have jobs, right? But as a trader, it's actually good for the market because it brings down inflation, or it could help bring down inflation. Um, and as a normal person, you wouldn't see it that way. So some of the books that have helped me with trading psychology is obviously one of the best books that I've read, and I've read several times, is Trading in the Zone. Not sure if you've read it, Toad.
Read part of it.
You
I'm
read part of it.
halfway through now.
You may want to. I read it. By the time I read it the third time, or listened to it, because I don't really read books, I just listen. Um, I every time I find something new. Every time I reread it, I find something new that helps me with my psychology. Uh, so yeah, hopefully you're getting great nuggets. If you haven't finished it, hopefully you can finish it by the end of the week and provide us some tips that you've probably found in the book. The other one is the 48 Laws of Power. That one is not so much just about trading, but it's about how your mind works, how how to how your mind works so you can understand how the later on in the finding your way, I think around week 6 to 8, we jump into the market psychology, which is different than trader psychology. Trader psychology is just trying to help you identify your weaknesses. Like you said, you bag hold or you let your losers run. You don't cut in a in the proper zone that you're supposed to cut in. And another thing is, I'm not sure if your entries are good. Do you have any issues with your entries?
Um, yeah, so with entries, I mean, sometimes that's actually I feel like that's a really tough one. It's something I either need to incorporate the way I'm using it into like a systematic. I need to be more systematic with it. Um, in like the quick sense, like for example, here's a trade looking from the pre-market top down on a day that seemed like it was going to be bearish, and you could essentially snipe that. And it's like that entry feels like it's really good when it works out. But I mean, then if I open up like the 1 minute, I think I'm a little I mean undecided, but I think it might be better to wait for that to appear as a definite zone of resistance and then get a better entry. But then it feels like the trouble there is like, if this wicks off really fast, then it feels like the good entry's kind of gone, and then that increases risk. So my entries could for sure get better. I mean, as a beginner, but it's hard to tell which if I even should ever try sniping these for like these great entries,
Hmm.
or if I should always wait um, and get something that's more confirmed. Um,
Do
which
you
the way I say it's probably better to wait.
do you use one particular time frame, or do you just like the way that usually like me, I sometimes I'll look at a volume profile on the 5 minute, but then I'll look at the 1 minute to see if I can find a better entry. Or do you just
Yeah,
base it on the longer time frame and you just wait for that VWAP to tag and then get in?
yeah. For the larger trades, definitely wait for more, mostly on the 15
Hmm.
time frame, looking to catch like 30, 50 points, stuff like that. At where I'm at right now for actually working the larger trades is using the 15 for the main entry with a large zone, and then using the smaller time frame to sort of work out if it's actually working. Trying to get from at least part of the way. So you could say like from this maybe like halfway down, getting at least part of the way, and then using price action to confirm that it's going to keep going down, and trying to catch a good number of points off the higher time frame using the lower for a confirmation on staying in the trade.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
No, that's definitely a good practice because you're gonna see lower highs or higher lows on the 1 minute when you only have one big fat candle on the 15 or the 5 minute. And that's kind of what I was trying to get at is the longer time frames could potentially say, okay, when it hits this VWAP or this anchor VWAP, do I get in or do I put a fishing order? And something that's gonna tell you that is on the shorter time frames where it's okay. The 1 minute it's on the trend up, right? It's creating higher lows, or there's going to be a pivot point on the 1 minute, or it's going to catch a volume profile as support on the 1 minute and then help you. Okay, this anchor 15-minute anchor, it is a good place to put a fishing order or think about entering the trade at that point.
Makes sense.
So, um, do you have a pretty good grasp on reading price action?
Enough to be right. Sometimes I wouldn't say. I feel like I've got something, but I would not be too incredibly confident. I've noticed recently I've been pretty good at identifying or doing all right identifying when something's going to squeeze up to
Hmm.
avoid going short. Finding, for example, when divergence is probably bogus. Like here's some 1 minute divergence on the default trading view indicator. And
Hmm.
you know it's bullish divergence, so it's supposed to be going up, but then flushed, and you got zero. You got actually like 20, 30 points out of it if you went for that. Um, but kind of telling when it's going to flush down a little bit more. Kind of candle reading is
Yeah.
getting there a little
A,
bit.
one major thing that helps you or helped me with candle reading was either watching the candles pre-market or watching the candles after hours. Just because they're slow, you kind of you begin to build that eye for, okay, this is a strong candle. When this candle holds green for, you know, 50 seconds out of 60 seconds for a minute candle, or 3 minutes or 4 minutes out of a 5 minute candle, then this candle is signifying that the buyers are in and they got control of that candle and buying pressure is coming in. Or if it's a doji with the long bottom wick, that's buying pressure coming in. Stuff like that you're going to identify during after hours a lot easier than when it's during live, because live a candle goes up and down like every second and you're like, well, I don't know if this is a weak candle, if this is a strong candle, or if this is just sideways action. And I know it's like watching paint dry in after hours, but it definitely helps build how to read price action properly. And I think that's the benefit of watching the candles after hours. If when market opens after hours and all you see is little dash lines, there's no volume in it, right? So you want to start, so you can just take a glance at it, see how it opens, and if it's just a bunch of dash lines, come back a little bit later and see if there's more volume in the market. A lot of the times, like this week, there's a lot of data coming out. After hours is awesome because there's a lot of volume after hours. And sometimes the moves happen after hours where it's a lot easier, a lot cleaner to catch a move after hours than it is, during live where sometimes there's not even a play. And that all also depends if you work. I know Luna the cat, he had work get in the way of where some of the best trades happen. You just have to find that window of when you have time and when there's a volume in the market for you to catch a move. So hopefully we'll help you identify that as well. Um, so like I said, if you're reading Trading in the Zone, finish reading that. Some of the other books that help me just kind of help me with my psychology and not to not to let my bag hold, or not to cut the runners short, is Best Loser Wins. That's by Tom Hogard or something like that. And another great book is The Hour Between the Dog and the Wolf. That has a lot of psychological, a lot of personality stuff. Like, I think he says in there that women are some of the best traders because they're not so emotionally attached like we are. We hate to be wrong. So that's something that you need to keep in check. And that also, these books will help you uh, try to calm down that FOMO. Once you figure out your psychology, you're gonna calm down that FOMO, and you're not gonna chase. You're just gonna let it go. Like Brandon always says, rather miss it than risk it. As if you're in a trade and it goes immediately against you, you're already nervous. You're already freaking sweating bullets, and you're already in a bad place, right? You're already be like, should I cut it? Should I not? And then you're like, well, it can bounce from this area, and then it goes down to that area, and you're red 4 or 5 points, and then that's where you start reevaluating. You'll be like, well, it can bounce again over here, but how do you know if it's gonna bounce back to your entry, or halfway back to your entry, or past your entry, right? Back into your favor, and you don't know. That's one of the hardest part of the market is identifying that. Um, But like Brandon always says, trend is your friend. And if it's in a trend down, the only thing that you can do is to counter trend bounce. And one of the biggest things when you're counter trend trading is you're scalping. You're scalping 4 to 6 points, maybe 8 points at the max. You're not trying to get 10 points, 15 points because it's not in trend. It's when you're in a trend and you're trading with the trend, that's when you can catch, 10, 15, 20 point moves on ES, and maybe even 50 or 40 points on NQ. So hopefully that's another thing will help you identify. Um, so yeah, once you're done with reading Trading in the Zone, maybe read The Hour Between the Dog and the Wolf. That's another great trading book. And The Best Loser Wins.
Okay.
Um, One of the biggest tips that Mark Douglas has said is enter a trade already accepting the fact that it's a losing trade, and then mark off your zone. Whatever you can tolerate. If you're on a prop firm, I would definitely keep it to a minimum of or a max of maybe 150 or 250. If you keep it to a maximum of 250, that gives you 10 trades where you could be wrong and blow up your account. Most of the time, you're not going to have 10 red trades in a row unless you're just chasing or you're revenge trading. Um, if you're new, I would maybe keep it to 150 on a prop firm. If you're on a personal account, it's whatever you can tolerate and mark it off, right? One of the biggest things that you want to ask yourself is where is the best discount to get in? Because obviously we don't long tops and we don't short bottoms, but you can long bottoms and long bottoms and short tops, right? You could do the inverse, and that's another psychology thing is that's gonna help you is if you find a trading range, and that's something that price action will help you identify is when you're in a trading range. Like for example, let's just say this was right here, a trading range right here, right? If you want a long or if you want a short, you would get in at the top. And if you want a long, you would get in at the bottom. You don't want to short down here because it can pop against you right away. And you don't want to long up here because it can dump against you right away. So you have to try to identify these peaks or the market structure, right? Because let's just say these two green candles right here, they look strong. And a lot of new traders will see this candle right here and then get in at the top. You're just going to say, it's going to continue going up. And then right away get smoked. And then a lower high, you're in right here where you could have freaking kind of held on a little bit to maybe get back to entry. And then look, you're over here praying for it to go back up to your entry up here. And it never does.
Been there.
Um, yeah, everybody's been there. Every new trader, most I've never found a trader that hasn't gone through that. But if the main thing about trading is find one strategy that you resonate with, and then focus on that strategy. Focus, fine tune it, and figure out all the intricacies of that strategy. Because even though Connor and Brandon have provided those strategies to us, we still have to adapt it and get used to that strategy ourselves. Because they've traded it so long, they already know, when to get out, when it's going to squeeze. They've been trading for 10 plus years, so they kind of got a grasp on um, on that strategy. Now they're passing it along to us, and we got to adapt it to our style. Because even though we can all trade the same strategy, we're all going to have a different style to trade that strategy. And a lot of new traders, they seem to jump from strategy to strategy to strategy to strategy when your goal should be is I like this strategy. I like it because it helps me find my entries, or I can catch big moves. Whatever it is, find that strategy, fine tune it, and that's what we're here to help you do is okay, you resonate with the Anchor VWAP. Now let's help you fine tune it to your style and help you create a system, because that's mainly what finding your way is helping you create a system around your strategy so you can start building consistency. Because the main thing about trading is having that consistency to be able to take a trade on a high probability trade or high probability strategy and actually get some money out of the market instead of just over trading. Um, Sometimes overthinking it. You're like, well, should I get in this trade? Should I not? And hopefully we can clear up any questions or any issues that you have. Um, yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Anchor View app? Yes. Rob Ventura or Rob, he said that he just finished uh, Best Loser Wins, and he recommends that book. So I don't know if you're a reader or if you're a listener. I highly recommend those three books just to get you in the right mindset and to help you start working out all those little
Yep.
psychological issues that you might have been having.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be reading those. I'm gonna finish Trading in the Zone. I read it a while ago and did not give it enough, like just kind of practically skimmed it and just did not give it enough attention. Now I'm reading through it again. And then basically paused it to start reading Anchored VWAP by Brian
mhm,
Shannon. Um, and I'll either read both or I'm a pretty good. I like reading. I'll probably either read both or just try to finish Trading in the Zone and then get back to Anchored
yeah,
VWAP. I remember I was listening to. I also paused Trading in the Zone to listen to Mark Douglas has a 7-part series. Well, someone else posted it of
mhm,
Mark Douglas on YouTube about trading psychology, and I listened to that like 4 times through, and he references Trading in the Zone, and he was like, "This book is not really aimed at beginners. I mean, this is aimed at people who already know what they're doing, what their strategy is, and they want to figure out how to get better or how to
mhm,
finally make money with a strategy um, they know is profitable." And then yeah, at that point, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna read this anyway because psychology is definitely like the biggest problem in trading, other than just
mhm,
having an edge. It's like
yeah,
you need to have an edge, and then you need to execute. That's it. And and yeah, now I'm reading Brian Shannon to get more more narrowed down on my actual edge, and then at the same time trying to work on psychology, not bag holding, not. I think Mark Douglas said people either get in too early, jump the gun, or they get in too late from hesitating. They hold
Yep.
their losers, they cut their winners, and they don't get in at all. You know.
Yep.
So
And I think most of them don't. They lost so many times that they hesitate to get in or cut their losers short because they've lost. Be like, this is not moving quick enough in my direction. When usually when it's against you, it's like, why does it move so fast against me when I get in, but when I get in, you know, to go long or and it goes in my direction, it just moves slow. That's just a psychological, you that or you start thinking the fucking market knows what I'm doing. It's just rigged to fucking fuck me and this and that. It's like, no, it's not. You just overthinking it and you just gotta take your trade where the highest probability entry is. Um, one tip for you when you're reading these books that I've learned from other um teachers that I've taken courses on is it's called a Pomodoro method, which is read 25 minutes or listen 25 minutes and then take notes. Take notes of what you learned in that chapter or that 25-minute chunk of reading that you did. Write
mhm.
down like three ideas of what you've learned, and that's actually going to help you retain that knowledge a little better. And that lesson, you're going to be like, okay, Mark Douglas said this, or I learned this from Mark Douglas. I did watch that series of 7 videos, and they're awesome. That
Yeah.
helped me a little bit with more psychology. Lasagna Cat had a book that he recommended, and it's on a YouTube video as well. If you don't, if you can't buy it or it's a free book. Lasagna Cat, do you remember the name of the book? Or Whiplash, I think, read it too.
Yeah, that book is so good. Trading Mindfully by Gary Dayton.
Cool.
It's really, really good. It talks about all of the natural like cognitive biases and like blind spots that people have in terms of like mental shortcuts that screw traders up, and also like just different blind spots in human psychology related to like risk aversion and things like that. And it's got worksheets to work through. It's helped me so much. And it's like for every little pitfall of trader psychology, this guy has identified the cognitive bias associated with that. And it's really, really good. And I highly recommend just listening to like any YouTube video by him just to like hear his vibe. Yeah, it's Gary Dayton. Trading Mindfully. Good shit.
Awesome. So yeah, I would definitely pause that strategy, that Brandon Shannon book until the end of this week, and then we'll jump back into your strategy next week. Uh,
Okay.
just so we can just okay concentrate. Let's focus on your psychology, right? You said one of your biggest issues is psychology. This first week in finding your way has always been about psychology and try to get you that mind right for your strategy. So like that next week when we jump into your strategy and you've already taken a couple of trades, we can recap those trades and um and then focus on your strategy because now we kind of fix your psychology a little bit. Even though we're the first week is of trader psychology, I, I I encourage you to go read the rest of the books that we recommended, just to have that much more ammo or that much more reinforcement of trading in the zone. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Sounds
Uh,
good.
And then, uh, does anybody have any tips? Easy, do you have any tips for Toad? I know you've gone through in your finding your way. Lasagna Cat, any tips that you guys can provide for Toad to get started?
Just journal as much stuff as you possibly can. Just like, and not to tire yourself out. Not to tire yourself out. Like, you'll know what's important information and what isn't. So, be sure to write it down because that objectifies it and it takes it out of the realm of sort of theory and things just swirling around in your head. Like if you notice something, objectify it, turn it into writing, find a way to verbalize it and record it in a journal. Otherwise, it's just a fleeting thought you had in your mind. And like what we tend to do is be like, oh, that's a light bulb moment. Now my life is completely different. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. You
Yeah.
you have to take that moment and turn it into exercise.
Yep. Yep. And that's something that I learned from the book Principles by Ray Dalio. Um, he tells you that you should write down or journal so you actually identify your issue, because without knowing what your issue is, you're not going to be able to correct that. And he uses that same theory for business and all, whatever comes to life is, if you don't know how to measure something that you're having issues with, then you're not going to be able to correct it. You're not going to be able to resolve the issue if you don't even know what the issue is. So I'm glad that you've admitted that you have a psychological issue, and don't worry, that goes for everybody. That's a new trader and still have trouble with understanding the market. But you're going to get that psychology mindset down, so you don't have to worry about FOMO or your nerves getting in the way.
Mhm.
Um, during finding your way with easy, we found that with the hour between the dog and the wolf is that sometimes you might have to work out or meditate to clear the brain or clear your head and keep your hormones in check. Uh, and that's why I like the hour between the dog and the wolf, is because you come to realize that, okay, if I have too much testosterone, then I might FOMO, or if I have too much estrogen, then I might hesitate, or whatever the case is. Or if you have too much cortisol, you're gonna get nervous or whatever. Um, that's not what the book says. That's just some samples that might, kind of reflect the book.
Yeah, and like
Um,
I took that into my own issues. Like my main issue psychologically with trading personally is FOMO. I don't have much hesitation to get into a trade. I don't feel nervous about the risk per se, but it's about missing something. So I've got, and that's like the biggest one for a lot. Like I think the majority.
mhm.
I might be generalizing there, but I know I know the majority can relate to it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so I've done a little bit of reading, watching videos on it. And so it's like I read that if you can get the area in your brain called the amygdala to reset, then you will have less of those anxious responses. And you can look this up. Some things you can do to normalize your amygdala activity is to, it's going to sound crazy a little bit. Chanting, singing, deep breathing. Deep breathing is key. That's pretty normal. If you're a singer, that's good too. And then there's
Yep.
different yoga stretches that are good for the amygdala and also the vagus nerve. So I'm not, not everyone is going to like start singing because of this or whatever, but there's ways to identify like where your psychology is hurting you and how it relates to you physiologically, which is what we're talking about here, and like how
Yeah.
to treat it. And that's that's an individual journey type of a thing, but it's there. You can find it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of find out that cold showers is good for you. It helps you with focusing, and then meditating helps with clearing your head. Working out helps regulate your hormones. Um, and that was thanks to easy and finding your way, and the hour between the dog and the wolf. And those are all things that, I'm not telling you to religiously do all that, but if it helps you, like me, doing a cold plunge helps me just focus. Hope helps. One of my routines is meditate in the morning, work out, do the cold plunge. That's just before I even look at the charts. I go do all that, come back, look at the charts, do my pre-market analysis before even Brandon or Connor jump on. So like that, I kind of have my own thing, even though they've taught me how to do analysis and how to kind of forecast, how to use indicators to forecast potential moves. Brandon is awesome, and and what you want to do when you do technical analysis is you want to have three scenarios. Brandon, before he jumps off, he leaves us with 2 or 3 scenarios. And he says, if market comes up to this level, then it can do this. If it goes down to this level, then it can do that. And if it stays sideways, then just wait for this, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to use your anchor VWAPs to forecast a potential pullback or a potential retest, potential confirmation level, and be able to wait for that retest, not jump in your trade until you get that retest. But being able to identify your technical analysis and when they align with Connor or Brandon, it's just gonna help you just confirm that you're on the right path, the right track. You just need a little bit more practice, and then soon you'll be at their level. Whether it's 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you're eventually gonna work towards that level. And one of the biggest things that helps with that is screen time. A lot of new traders come in and be like, "Oh, this is a quick rich, strategy, or this is a quick rich. I'm gonna make money. And that's the opposite mindset you should be coming into the market. If you need to pay your bills, go worry about paying your bills because the market's not gonna give you money for that shit. Um, you need to be able to not have that additional pressure of I need to make this work. I need to make this trade work. Because if you have that additional pressure of I need to make money because I need to pay my rent, or I need to make money because I need to pay my phone bill, or whatever the case is, you want to not have that additional pressure added to already the pressure of you winning the trade. Uh, you want to, one of the best videos that helped me with that is Connor has a video of if you can afford a $5 coffee for, you know, for a week or two, that's $25 that you can risk losing, right? If I stop drinking coffee and I just buy coffee and I make it at home, then I can risk $25 and not even feel it because I already lost $25 buying coffee. And that kind of goes back to trading in the zone. If you already go into the trade thinking, okay, if your max loss is $50, okay, that loss is, I got into this trade, my max loss is $50. I already lost it, right? That's the cost of the trade. That's the cost of tuition when you're learning how to trade is, hey, I already I already lost $50. You already accepted the fact that you could potentially lose $50 or you can make $100 or $50. Um, but you want to go in with that mindset. So you're not adding that additional pressure to your trading.
Yeah, I'd say that's totally true. When I first, I mean, like I said, I've been doing, I mean, well, first of all, that's obviously true, just the way you said it. And then from an anecdote personally, I mean, when I started really taking this seriously about 6 months ago, what one of my main focuses was make more money. And, uh, and then after probably, experiencing ton of psychological drawdown, for I mean, and whenever I tried to trade, like it'd be like a consistent 2 weeks of gaining money, and then poof, gone in like 2 days. And then
Yeah.
once I just started doing a side job to have enough to pay the bills, and I didn't really care. It's like for the last couple weeks, just been making some profitable trades, walking away, and the consistency has gone up tremendously. So,
Nice.
yeah.
And I'm sure not having that additional pressure has helped a lot, especially keeping you focused on your fundamental rules. If you have rules, do you have rules?
Yeah, I mean, essentially right now I just look for um I mean, yeah, I've got different sets of rules, like general risk management and then actual planning the trades rules and then kind of psychological rules as well. Now, of
Yeah.
course, I can get better at following all of those, but I've got a few sets. Um, yeah.
Yeah, on the futures chat, on the BRT futures chat, there are some example rules that that I pinned, but Lasagna Cat posted, and some of those rules can be like, I woke up on the wrong side of bed, I can't trade, or I overslept, or I'm hung over. Shit that fucks up your mind. You should be like, okay, I'm gonna take the first hour and a half of not even trade. I'm just gonna look at the charts. There's that kind of rules. Um, so you're not already putting yourself in a bad position when you don't even have the right mindset to be trading. Like if you're not feeling well, you're sick, under the weather, like you might want to take the day off. Um, Sometimes, like Easy says, the market always wants to screw the bears. You know, he's like, oh, it's a long day or it's a force up day. Like, what can you do about it, right? You can't do nothing. If you're a short player and it's a force up day, then you're gonna force trades and you're gonna be like, fuck. I forced a trade and it went against me. Like my rule should be like if it's and that's another thing is you're gonna come to find out if you're a long player or if you're a short player. A lot of traders try to come in and be like, oh, I can play both sides. But after doing so many trades, you're gonna be like, well, most of my winners are long plays. Most of my winners or most of my losers are when I'm trying to go short and vice versa. Like me, I never went short for the longest time. I never went short. The last 2.5 years, I started going short. Now I can play both sides. Um, but yeah, that took a while for me. Like I could see the pattern, I can call out the pattern to go short, but I would hesitate. For some reason, I had some psychological or some mindset screwed up in my head where I can see the pattern, but I can't pull the trigger. And then finally, when I went through finding your way with easy, I was like, oh shit. Now I see it. Now I see it better. I see it clearer. Now I can take trades going short. And it's not easy playing both sides, that's for sure. Especially when if it's a long bias day or if it's a short bias day and you try to play against it, it's like fuck. It's a little bit harder
Yeah.
to play it.
You
But
also
you've
have
come to
more long days than short days because the
Mhm.
market is consistently going up then going lower. So yeah, I mean just that to keep in mind, right? Remember on Mondays I try not to play short on Monday. That's one of the rules that I just added recently, just because I noticed that on Mondays it's usually a long day because everybody is like eager to start trading. They haven't traded during the whole weekend and they come on Monday, they just buy everything up.
Yep.
So I'm trying to be careful on Mondays.
Cool. Nice to know. Um, I'm a long player, so I'm always playing Sunday and Monday. Uh, Easy's more of a short player, but hey, he's adapted to it and he's taking some long trades and he's slowly picking up more trades, more trades. I keep telling him, hey, I think your horns are growing out. But yeah,
Yeah.
you'll come to identify that, and I highly recommend that you stick to that whatever side, whatever bias you're better at until we've gone through this, and you then later on you can add other tools that can help you identify better short entries if you're a long player, or better long trades if you're a short player. So yeah. Well, thanks for joining Finding Your Way. I'm excited to get started. Can't wait. I'm intrigued by the Anchor VWAP and the way that Connor always uses it, and he's always consistent with it. Um, and the best part of it is that it lines up with a lot of the elite strategies and the way that Brandon uses it. So that's cool. Um, for anybody out there, stop by on Fridays. Any elite members that are having issues or can't find a strategy that resonates with them, there is Finding Your Way Season 1 with Lasagna Cat, which is fibs and moving averages. If you resonate with a different strategy, there's Easy's Finding Your Way Season 2, where it's a 10 SMA crossing the 50 SMA cross. Uh, and then there's Season 3 with Dell and Luna. Luna was using the moving average, and then Dell was using the ICT model using fair value gaps. So there is a strategy for you. You just got to see which one you like, which one resonates with you, which one do you feel comfortable with, which one helps you see the chart a lot clearer. So thank you for stopping by. If you want to trade with BRT, the links are in the description. I'm just an admin. I'm here to help you implement the strategy that Connor and Brandon have taught us. So I help you build rules. I help you build a system. Just like any business, they have standard operating procedures. You have to take trading as a business. If you ultimately want to make trading your primary source of income, you have to treat it like a business. And who knows, maybe in the future you can actually create a business around it to take advantage of the tax benefits. So thank you for stopping by, and look forward to the next coming weeks where we actually get to jump into Toad taking trades and us recapping them, and us helping him along, create rules to help him build that consistency.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have the market by the balls.
Sure are.